Hi Hinsters, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, welcome too. I hope you're having a great Monday moon day, and do not forget to subscribe to this channel if you like what I do, and give this video a thumbs up too. And today we are looking at Mercury, or Hermes, the god, and we are back, yes, on the Howe Hermes series, following the transits of Mercury, as Mercury is currently, as I film, 29 degrees anaretic in the sign of Gemini, about to hop on into the sign of Cancer. And yes, that means Mercury is leaving the sign that it rules, Gemini, so it is losing a little bit of dignity, but it's not a big deal, I feel, being in Cancer. And the dates then specifically, this is a very quick one, so this video might be quite a quick one, quickie dippy. By the way, I think I have like a little cold or something, so my apologies for my voice right now. I just got back from a bit of traveling, so please bear with. And of course, by the way, remember, I am doing my Cancer season promotion right now. If you are a Cancer Sun or a Cancer Rising, you can get 50% off on a reading with me. That's any type of reading, general birth chart reading, tarot, transit report, whatever I offer, 50% off. You just need to book during Cancer season to get that nice little discount. And the reading itself doesn't have to be during Cancer season, it can be anytime. And of course, I am also still offering, if you didn't know, my donation-based orrery readings, because I'm still studying on my orrery course, or completing my orrery course. So the readings I do for that are donation-based. That's when you ask a question, and I cast a chart to help you approach that question using Hellenistic astrological methods. And finally, I am still taking applications for my High Introduction to Spiritual Astrology course, which will start on the 22nd of July. So I have to push that back a little bit. It was supposed to be June, but it's now starting in July. So there's still time for you to think about applying. This is a free course at the moment. I have 9 out of 12 free scholarship places. And then after that, it's just £69 for the entire 6 months of courses. So that's once a week, every Saturn day we meet, and it is basically a beginner-friendly but also very interesting course for those who even know a bit about astrology. It's still going to be very insightful, and it's introducing you to all the houses, all the signs, all the gods, and from a more spiritual Hellenistic perspective. Yeah, so that's that. Get in touch using the description box below if you're interested in that. So the dates then for this Mercury in Cancer transit are around 2 a.m. UK time, June 27th to July 11th. So it's a reasonably quick transit. And the tone of this transit really is, we have Mercury entering the cardinal water sign of Cancer, feminine sign Cancer. By the way, I made a Cancer season video already. Check that out for more depth and detail on Cancer season and how Mercury will conversate with that. But Mercury enters here making an exact sextile to the North Node in Taurus, and also Mercury will be making a pretty good opposition to Fortune in Capricorn, and a square to Ceres in Libra, which is very strong, and a trine, an exact trine to the South Node in Scorpio. And finally, Mercury will be under the beams of the Sun, as we are going to be, just 5 days into Cancer season, as Mercury also hits this lovely cardinal water baby sign. And also, by the way, Mercury will be conjunct Juno and that's a pretty good strong conjunction, as well as Juno will just be 2 degrees of Cancer. So I do get a lot of continuation of what we have been talking about since like the beginning of Gemini season, with the Lovers card energy vibes and a lot of hand holding and baton passing and that sort of jazz, and just getting on and being on the same page as others, hopefully, instead of being in disputation with or against others. But of course, Mercury is a very trickster type of energy. It is the ultimate peregrine planet in the chart in readings. It is mercurial. It can really go either or both ways. So, who are the most affected then during this Mercury and Cancer transit? Especially if you are a Gemini rising or Virgo rising, you will quite likely feel this transit or a change for you, because Mercury rules you. Mercury rules your body, your health, your persona, your personality, your aura, your very spirit. And also Cancer rising, of course, because Mercury is entering your first house as a Cancer rising. And also anyone who has like natal Cancer placements, at some point Mercury will be conjuncting or meeting, or as I like to sometimes say, kissing those natal placements of yours. And in terms of like squares and oppositions or challenging experiences, if you have planets natally in the other cardinal signs, so Capricorn, Libra, or Aries, especially when they meet Mercury within a 3 or maybe even up to 5 degree range either side of those natal placements, then you could feel also an amplification or introduction of these square oppositional themes for you. But what does all this kind of tone mean then? I think, by the way, check out my Mercury in the birth chart series that I just did, and I talk in that video a bit more about Mercury the god, if you want to go more in depth on Mercury, because I won't talk so much about Mercury in this video. You can check that out for Mercury or Hermes. And also I have a Hawaii Hermes playlist. I've got lots of videos on Hermes on different topics, so you might be interested to have a dip into that. But generally, this tone of Mercury entering Cancer this time round, I get this message of it being okay or easy for future chasing. You know, we have the North Node involved here, so it's okay to have that kind of thirst, hunger for the future, so long as our head is screwed on. And with Fortune, Lady Fortune being involved too, it's like fortune is granted to those who can care for others, who can treat the family, however family is construed for you, and also for those who pay homage to the foundation, the roots, and the ceremony of things. I talked in my Cancer season video about Cancer season being a feminine season, the first water season of the year, an angular season, and how it's kind of like a big wash type of season. And also I get this message of beware of creating harsher seasons for yourself down the road by being tricky now. This is the Mercury squaring series in Libra. So in like a couple months from now, from Cancer season, we're going to get, like 3 months from now, we're going to get Libra season, the final sort of check from the universe, I would say. Another cardinal season, and Ceres really seems to be bringing this to bear, this message to bear for a lot of us, to just beware. And I was getting so many synchronicities for just Cancer and Cancer season in general over the past like week. I was watching this thing about these crabs. I think they're in Costa Rica. I might be wrong, but you know, those little red crabs that kind of, they get into the billions, and they walk all over the roads, and they get run over by the cars, and it's just a very treacherous sort of path from birth to the sea. And there's this message then with Mercury coming into the fore as well, of like running from home isn't always that bad. Um, and this theme of avarice as well. We have the Cancer Capricorn axis being more and more activated now. So this idea of like eating your darlings, or overly consuming out of an anxiety of something happening or not happening in the future. So just be aware of that, because this is a cardinal season as well. So there's a lot of potential to want to kind of like I get this image of like raking in or hoarding. I think I'm going to talk about hoarding a bit later, but like raking in as much as you can out of like anxiety. And maybe that's not the best for some people, but I would look to see which houses Mercury rules for you. So Mercury rules 2 houses in your chart. That's wherever you have Gemini and Virgo, because that's going to give you more of an inkling as to the themes that Mercury will be kind of activating or amplifying for you. Now, also with this trine that Mercury makes to the South Node, there's, for some people, this really big opportunity for easy magic when it comes to wanting to pull out of something or let go of something or escape here. And to also just be at peace with something or someone. And that's a very South Node thing, just to be okay with something. It could be a great opportunity for some people to reach that space. By the way, it was also very recently on Sunday, would have been George Michael's 60th birthday. The early Hinsters might know I love George Michael. He is a Cancer rising, Cancer sun. And if you want to kind of get more deep into Cancer energy, it's great just to listen to his music and his lyrics. Just feel like get into his waters for a bit. But also here we have this Greek term concept of stillborn, like being twinkling, and this is Mercury coming through. So we've got the twinkling one, the twink, in the mother sign in Cancer, and so we get here like sparkle and sensuality being more introduced or activated, amplified for us, or for the house where you have Mercury transiting in your chart. So that's exciting, especially if you're like a Cancer rising or you are Virgo, Gemini rising. Could be more of this sparkle, twinkle, sensuality being introduced, or some fizz coming through. So it's giving me almost like a month of like new moony type of energy, really, when we have Mercury in Cancer. Very playful, youthful, flirtatious. And remember, we do have the Mercury under the beams of the sun. So we also have this idea that we can't always get what we want, and kind of remembering all those adages and warnings that our mothers gave us. The mother literally could be coming through more strongly for some people as a naga, or someone looking out for you a bit more as well, or calling you more. Writing to your mother could be something with Mercury in Cancer. Also, this idea of reciprocal speaking. We've got 69 energy, so letting others speak, just like letting, especially children, young people, just letting them like pour out their passions, their interests, and like that loving, quiet, nurturing mother, just kind of listening and like enjoying that kind of spurt or spring of joy, passion, interest come out of that other person. Again, we got lots of Gemini energy coming through, lots of mercurial hand-holding energy, baton or mic passing energy coming through as well. And Also, Mercury rules brotherhood. So, with that 69 Cancerian energy, being more of a brother to people in this spiritual sense, more of a hand holder. And we do have a lot of Leonite energy, of course. We basically are in Leo season this year. It's very early Leo season with Venus, Mars, Pallas, Lilith, all there. Um, but yes, a lot of masculine energies continuing, and Mercury can just tingle and tantalize that even more. And I was also watching this thing about elephants in Thailand. So much like elephant imagery kept popping up at the very beginning of Cancer season. And here we have with Mercury coming through Cancer a reminder or more messages or more talking about the duty to care for the abandoned and the elderly and the sacred. Because a lot of the elephants in Thailand were just neglected and abandoned once they were no longer deemed useful, and some of them just put in circuses or forced to entertain in some way. If they couldn't be labor elephants, they would have to be entertainer elephants. And so there's a sense of saving, even, or rescuing or caring for, bringing others to a sense, a space, or literally to sanctuary. And it's like a community Cancer season. And but Mercury comes through here also as the god of games and youth and play and happiness, yes. And it's like, oh, there's this sculpture of an elephant that we once had in the sea. It got smashed or disappeared somehow, but there's this revitalization or this new era as well. There's a literal circus that comes to town that's born out of that, and real elephants are brought to this circus and shown to the people, and people will see elephants for the first time. And then that's like an homage to something that is gone but once was, but just comes back again in a different, slightly different form. And then the circus will close down as well, and the people will kind of disperse and disappear from that area. But then later, there'll be like another recreation or revival of that space, which again pays homage to what once was, but isn't quite the same. And there's just always this tidal conversation, this ebb and flow conversation that's going to be more, I think, increasingly had with Mercury entering Cancer. And it could just be like a lot of sitting down in the garden or around the table and talking about like familial memories and histories, like flicking through the photo albums and having a good laugh type of vibes. Things, yeah, they fall away, and then they are kind of like repeated back in Cancer season. Another thing we will get with Mercury in Cancer is more of this catastrophizing. It could especially be flagged up in your conversations or your messages, and like wild thoughts and fantasies. It's like when you're talking to someone, and as they're talking to you, they're like waving a knife in their hand, and it's like you have this wild thought or idea or paranoia that they might like drop it or throw it at you by accident. And it's just like a bit like wild and weird. Cancer can get like this, and with Mercury here in Cancer, it can make these thoughts more amplified. Have you seen the film Misery? The film Misery is a very Cancerian kind of sphere, shall we say. um, it could be a great time to write some kind of catastrophic fiction or some kind of wild account of something, some erotic 69 type energy fan fiction or novel. That kind of thing can definitely be produced or enjoyed during a Mercury in Cancer transit. And also we get more with Mercury in Cancer, more selfish moves and These are like moves and shakes based on people putting how I feel, right? How they feel first, because this is cardinal energy, it's water, and Mercury is coming into the fore as well under the beams of the sun. So there could be some egoic placement of how I feel before everything else or everyone else. So watch out for that if that applies. And also remember that Mercury rules suspense. Mercury rules things like testing. Mercury rules things like hearing as well. So are you actually hearing or listening? And trickery. Of course, we know Mercury is the trickster god. And so a lot of this catastrophizing of things, of situations or dramas, or gossip becoming like a big deal type of thing could just be Mercury coming into play with us and to see how far we can be pulled by the trickery. Um, Also, Cancer season is, of course, cruel summer vibes. And we have cardinal water. And with Mercury coming in, we can have more talk about grudges or more talk based on grudges. And also, as I mentioned before, like more of a hoarding of resources. Mercury rules also things like sacrifices and like war or action strategists, and also crafty people are ruled by Mercury, and what I call false hoodies, people who preach, carry, say false things. That can be something that comes into it as well, that is discovered or kind of hatches itself in Cancer season. And with Mercury here, it's like getting messages about these things, hearing about these things, even getting messages about these things in your dreams, because Mercury is a dream interpreter as well. And then, as I kind of touched on before, this is tides, right, with Cancer season. And when we add Mercury in the mix here, we've got travel and we've got like communicating, traveling and communicating with honor or in homage to the tides of time and space. So, what I kind of mean is being quite serious about the places you are going and the times you are going. So paying attention to, is this the right or the wrong time or the right or the wrong moment? And have I anticipated enough? So that avaricious kind of hoarding type of energy isn't always bad. It can be coming from this space of wanting to be prepared for all outcomes or as many outcomes as possible. And so sometimes with Mercury in Cancer, we are being asked to think, use our thinkers, pay attention to the data when it comes to the tides of time and space. Are we paying attention? Are we trying to get to an island by driving through the water when the tide's in? Are we not waiting for the tide to go out and then crossing? So that type of thing, if you get my drift. And this is because, of course, Mercury rules things like weighing up the options. And again, we've got a square to Ceres here in Libra, so even more emphasis on needing to weigh, especially in a futuristic sense. So are my decisions in alignment with me just wanting to have an easier season later in Libra season, with me not wanting to be hit by that Libra sword that comes chopping down the claws? By the way, did you know Libra was known as the constellation or the zodiacal sign, the claws? That was another name for Libra. And that's a cardinal sign, which makes a square to Cancer. And yeah, I think with Mercury here, we've got weighing and, of course, messages and hearing, but in the sense of like the ears. So if you have problems with your ears, like, are you actually paying attention to that, or are you trying to like do something else while the tide is in? Kind of thing. And Also, the tongue. Mercury rules the tongue, so picking the right moment to say something and not saying that thing if the tide is in, kind of thing. Um, Cancer season is, of course, the crash. It is like tower moments. You know, there will be some people who have these tower moments in Cancer season, of course. It is the great wash as the first water season and the second cardinal season. And also, this gives great cleanses for a lot of people. This is kind of like the world rising. I described it in my Cancer season video as like flowers rising. And it's also the world rising, Earth rising, Mother Earth. And yes, it can give this feeling to many of us of being on top of the world. It's kind of like drinking Pims and having your feet in nice cool water on a really hot day. That can really be the vibe spiritually or literally during Cancer season, and just wanted to have fun. Um, just wanted to have fun. This is Mercury entering the sign of Cancer, and so yeah, the really kind of shadow Cancerian people might get more of a positive shake with Mercury coming into play, more of a living a little. And also, I wanted to say to forgive and protect. So this is not necessarily to forgive and forget. Cancer is the elephant. Cancerians rarely forget. So, so it's like forgive and protect, but don't really forget. That's the message for some. And it's like burying ourselves with the memory of, or burrowing yourself, or almost like an ostrich head in the sand, kind of keeping low. This is a shadow season we're in, by the way, so keeping low, but at the same time not forgetting what has happened, what has been done, what you said, what you did as well, and remembering this is an overarching rabbit year, so it's always good to lean more into that burrowing type of energy or space than necessarily being too bouncy or jumpy or jumping into too many lanes, especially if that's going to get you caught in the headlights and you know the rest. And finally, secure your fortune as well, because we have Lady Fortune really helping with the tone of the beginning of this Mercury and Cancer transit. And Lady Fortune was actually not that lovely. it it's said Lady Fortune was quite fickle, and it was more like a Wheel of Fortune type of vibe, or a Russian roulette type of vibe with Lady Fortune. She may help you, she may not, and so it's kind of just like to the best of your abilities, securing what you can, when you can, how you can, and when the tide is out, collecting and gathering what you can, however you can, and also keeping in mind the coming of Libra season, that final kind of, or penultimate kind of angular season where we have, or we should be by then, sort of really tightly in the shell. Our spaceship is as titaniumed as it can be, and we're ready to start to internalize, and we'll be ready to incubate, and we'll be ready to count what has been gathered and start to intend towards and dream towards the next new astrological year. But all of that will come later. Anyway, let me know in the comments where you have Cancer in your birth chart and where Mercury is transiting for you, and how might this be affecting you? What might be coming up in the coming weeks? I love you very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.